It's going to be a little bit of a challenge today. And here we go. Yep, it's working. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm John Miglosh for the WDMA. We're going to be talking about things that don't make sense today. Like why I'm at work with a cold. It sounds like a chainsaw or something. But first, the fun. Let's get over here. And this is a really lot of fun. I like this commercial a lot.
New Orleans don't make a lick of sense to most people. A big city built below sea level that throws logic out the window and beads to strangers. And our chicken is no different. A fast food restaurant selling fried chicken that takes 12 hours to marinate? That makes no sense. But it does make delicious. The best recipe for big flavor ain't about logic. Because you know magic when you see it or when you taste it. We don't make sense. We make chicken.
Love that chicken from Popeye.
Okay, what a great commercial. That was a great commercial. That was such a great commercial that I actually looked up where there are Popeyes around me, and they're not many. I guess they're all about a half an hour away. But, in a big city, that's not too much. So, that will hit in June on TV and in May on digital. Let's see how we get back to the... where is the stuff here? Yeah, okay, it's all covered up. You don't get to see what I get to see. So that's the way it is. Popeyes embraces its New Orleans origins in new nonsensical ad. Okay, I like that. What I like is it got some really good chicken features across. Now, I don't know how long Kentucky Fried marinates their chicken. I don't know if they hand dip it or not. But this came across to me. Audrey Kemp. The first Popeye's chicken opened in New Orleans, Louisiana in 1972. And the ad spotlights some of the highlights of its city. Right. Like a major city built below sea level. That is a problem. It's not a problem most of the time. But if a hurricane hits, it's not a problem with NOAA or NEMOA or whatever. It's FEMA, I guess it was. It's a problem with where you built your city. And if a city in Iowa gets flooded regularly by the Mississippi, they move the city. When the insurance company comes around to settle claims, they move the whole city up on the bluff, and the heck with it. But they didn't do that with New Orleans. New Orleans. If they would have, it would have made more sense, but it doesn't. And so Popeye's Chicken is a fast food restaurant selling fried chicken that takes 12 hours to marinate. Now, I suppose you could marinate it when you leave for the night and be ready in the morning. Excuse the cough. It's been worse. I did take some stuff. And the president, Sammy Sidqui, I think, says the techniques we use that make the least amount of sense are what help us to stand out the most. And I'm proud that this new campaign captures that point. A lot of people I know like Chick-fil-A. When I read that as a dyslexic, I see Chick-a-Phil. But anyway, there's one fairly close. Two fairly close. And I tried it once. I didn't like it that much. It was dry. I don't know if it's always dry, but that one was. It's all you need sometimes. A convenience sample. And so I'm going to be on a chicken testing adventure probably next week. I'm going to try the Popeyes. I'm going to try the Kentucky Fried Nuggets with the original flavor. And I'm going to try Chick-a-Phil again just for the heck of it. So, excellent ad. Excellent ad. Not only hits some of the fun and the heritage, but also hits the distinctives that make it better. Does marinating chicken make it better? I don't know. David Ogilvy mentions he did a Shell Answer Man series for Shell, and he said one of the things he said was that Shell uses engine cleaners, and every other gas refiner used engine cleaners too, but no one took credit for it. So maybe they all do. But I doubt it. And so, excellent commercial. Okay. 4 tips on using direct mail. Oops, before we do that, I just want to get back to, show you this one. Tucker Carlson, you may not know, but got fired from Fox. And I don't know much about Tucker. I saw a tweet of his where he was fly fishing in Central Park, and some guy came up on him and said, "Hey, are you allowed to do that?" And he said, "Yeah, it isn't very good fishing, but sometimes when I'm in New York, I just come over here and wet a line or something." And I saw him on a show where a guy just shoots guns, and Tucker came and talked, and he just seems like a really down to earth guy. That's about what I know about Tucker. But he was getting about 5.5 million, averaging about 5 million views on his TV show every night. And he decided to do a tweet now that he's fired. Here he is talking. And he's got 73.7 million, like just views, not of the video, but just views of the tweet. And he's got 21.8 million views of the actual video in the tweet. Now that's pretty good for a guy who averaged about 5 million. That was more like 3 million every night. I think he should tweet again. And the question is, what does this say about cable news or network news? It seems to say that if you got something to say, it might be better for you to go out on your own. He had at the point where he started 2.5 million followers. Now he's got 6.7 million just in a day or two, which shows you the power of things. And I've told my friends, some of my younger friends especially, that Twitter has gotten much, much better in the last few months, because on any given tweet you can see positives and minuses. So if we go over here and we click that, I never liked that about Twitter. You've got, this one says nothing. It just says, now this one says greatest of all time. This one says public enemy number 1. This one says Tucker's not going away, and we don't even need Fox News anymore. And citizen journalism, and there's a lot of people who criticize Tucker on here, and there's a lot of people who don't. But if you tool through this a little bit, you'll find out that Tucker was the biggest liar ever. The New York Times wrote a big story on him about how he's a fascist and probably a racist. I didn't read the article. And who knows? But at least you can see both sides. And but most of these are favorable. I don't know if I think I've got the most popular. What you really want is you want the latest tweets, but I don't know how to work Twitter. To be really honest, I don't. So anyway, we'll get over to the news again. So here's a story from Business News Daily. 4 tips on using direct mail for business. And these articles scare me, because I wonder if this guy ever was up late night thinking about the mail that he dropped into the postal service, 500,000 pieces or something. And he's got this pit in his stomach that says, well, what if, especially for a new mailer, what if nobody orders, right? What if nothing happens? I did some work for IBM once, and they wanted to know the potential return on investment if they did a catalog for a particular line of their computers. And they said, well, how much would it cost to reach all the businesses in America? And I said, well, there's about 10 to 15 million businesses, but 10 million if you knock out all the 5 employees or less, which was not their market, or 10 employees or less. So about 10 million Well, what does a catalog cost? Well, I said you could do a nice one for $1. This was a few years ago, but you still could. And they said, well, why wouldn't we just mail everybody? Mail all 10 million for 10 million lousy bucks. I said, well, you could do that, but a lot of times you want to do a shakedown cruise first. You might want to try 500,000 or 250,000 and see what happens. I said, make sure the phone number's right, make sure there's enough people to answer the phone, make sure there's enough inventory, and they didn't. And so it took them like 2 years to recover because nobody could get through the switchboard. And it was just a nightmare. They had no inventory after a day or two. So I don't know if this guy's ever had those feelings, or listen to somebody ahead of time to do it right. But he starts out with, this is unique. I've never seen anybody start like this. No one likes junk mail. So these tips will ensure your direct mail doesn't get tossed. And of course, that's false. And at the very bottom of the article, which I'm not going to get to all the way down, is a realtor who says, sometimes people just aren't in the market for a new house or selling their old house. But, we keep mailing for the day they are, which is a much more profound way to look at direct mail. It's the most effective for long-term, repeated exposure of your business. It builds your brand, not someone else's. Andrew Ettinger says to HVAC contractors, he said, you're paying per click, and you're paying Angie's List to put you up at the top, and your immoral competitor is paying more, so they're at the top of the list. And neither of you are building your own brand. He's got a guy that does tree service. He just mails 20,000 pieces every month. And when there's a hurricane or a superstorm Sandy, he can't get to it all. He has to hire the other contractors and pay them to do all the work, because most people don't have a tree that needs tending until they do. And that's the magic of it. Anybody who thinks they can target market on the day you need the service, excuse me very much, Andrew says, just try HVAC near me. And what you'll find is that no HVAC companies come up. It's all Angie's List and that type, even Yelp. And so even when you need, even when your heater goes out or your air conditioner and you need HVAC, you won't necessarily get one on Google. So this is, junk mail is, if I get a, like the other day, we got a Discount Shoe Warehouse postcard, and it had a picture of a cooler on it. Actually, it was a little fold out. It was the size of a postcard, probably mailed for postcard rates, but it was, I think it was tabbed. Anyway, it had a little cooler on it, and I keep trying to steal. My daughter has a little cooler that I really like, and it looks just like it, so maybe it is. And it said if you spend $50 on shoes, you get a $40 coupon for more shoes, and you get a cooler. Well, I didn't care about the shoes. I don't even know if they have men's shoes, but I set it aside so my wife would see it. So we had two people, and I asked her this morning, did you see that? Because on the Wisconsin Large Mailer Roundtable last night, I mentioned it, and one of the people, Ray Jackson, said, yes, she'd seen it. She had it right there. Which means your mail gets looked at. It really does. I mean, what are the odds of that? And it isn't even to me, right? And but if a Bass Pro Shops catalog comes and I don't grab it first, I usually pick up the mail, and my wife usually sorts the mail. Then it's going in the trash because she doesn't want me tempted by that. And so junk mail is contextual. If you don't need it today, you toss it, right? And the mailer, you can't know whether I need it or not, right? I just took my car in to get a wheel bearing replaced, and now there's another thing come up. VSC, I don't really know what that is. Vehicle skid control, I think. Probably because they did something to the wheel. They interrupted the interface there. But I'm thinking maybe I need a new car. When I took it in on Monday, it didn't have that. Now it does. And I'm sure they'll fix it, but runs like a dream. But it's contextual. You can't know my life. I don't even know my life. I didn't expect that to happen. So here's an article that starts off wrong and goes downhill from there. And really nice little piece of mail lead generator, though. You can mark what kind of mailing you're looking for, and then it takes you to another page where you tell it what you want to do with it, and then what quantity, and then your zip code. I don't know if this is related to business news or it's an advertiser. And then it's got a definition of direct mail. And here's Tom Fody, and I think I know Tom. I'll be talking to Tom. I'll be calling him up. But not all the postal people know much about direct mail, to be honest about it. It's kind of funny. Direct mail creates a one-to-one connection that's hard for other media channels to match, which is exactly what we were talking about when you use Google pay-per-click rather than direct mail. But for this article, they reached out to experts. And I said, Andrew, you didn't call me. I might have been able to help you save this article. First off, targeting, always the best. But, the experts talk like ad agencies. Well, we've got to have here it is, U.S. pre-sort. You need the best customer profile. And what that means when I've done it with ad agencies, which I have, is you sit around in a room and say, well, who do we think our customers are? But the world is full of stories like Arm & Hammer baking soda. Who do we think our customers are? Well, they're people who bake. Because that's what you use baking powder for. It's right in the name. Well, they found out that wasn't the customers. As baking declined, people were using it to absorb odors in their refrigerator. Somebody figured out they could do it, and they kept doing it. And unlike the 7-year-old baking powder that doesn't even work anymore that was in my mom's cupboard, in the refrigerator, you change it out every month, so you get a lot better churn. And now they got deodorant, underarm deodorant. They got spray stuff around your house to deodorize stuff. And it's a whole nother market. So you don't know necessarily who your customers are. But the worst thing you can do is just speculate and call up a list broker and say, I want these kinds of people. I mean, if you do it right, you say, I think I want these kind of people. And you target and segment. Now, sometimes if you're selling, like the Windham Hill story, where I walked in on them because they said everything wasn't working in their mailer. They had a little catalog, which was beautiful. And they included a CD in it. And I said, you might want to put a sticker on the outside saying free CD enclosed. And they said, well, we were worried people would steal it. And they were renting lists. It was prospects. I said, you mean people who like to listen to music? I mean, it didn't matter if somebody stole it, they probably would listen to it. Whereas if they get it in the mail, they probably don't even notice and just throw it in the trash. But anyway, sometimes the hardest thing in consulting is not laughing in people's face. So I said, why don't you put a little card in that mailer, or no, in your CDs? Because they were mailing men 35 to 55 high income. They told their broker that's what they wanted. That's not what they wanted. They wanted people who liked their music. So they got rid of about 4 million of those CDs a year. And I said, put a little card in saying we have a free catalog if you'd like one. They could have put a QR code on it now. And they got sick, but even people mailed it back and wrote them and said, I'd like a catalog, or went to the website. And they generated 600,000 names, which was more than they were mailing. And they pulled a 15% response, which was multiples more than they'd ever gotten. So, it's right about one thing. Some people want high income, some people want low income. What you really want is people who want you. And the best way to know is to test. And there's very little about testing in this article. There's a message that says check the results, but that isn't testing. Testing is so far, it's like 180 degrees opposite of generating results and measuring the results. Testing is an art and a science. And if all you do is read these articles and make stuff up on your own and never really know what your customers are looking for, then you're lost. So if you'd like more information on testing, give me a call. I got 2 good calls today, and thank you for that. I'm so excited. I always love talking to people. My number's below. Have a great day. Like and share. Your friend.